Hello and welcome back to this week's River Online. I'm Adam.
And I'm Tabby, and it's great to be back with you guys.
I hope you've had a really fantastic couple of weeks since we last met. This evening, we've got a really exciting programme ahead of us, and it's really current as well. So tonight, we have Steve looking after our chat. So why don't you drop him a little hello?
Hi, Steve. Yes, we have got a fantastic programme ahead of us. And really, we're looking at the topic of stress, worry and anxiety.
Yeah, this is a huge topic. It's one that impacts everyone in all walks of life. It doesn't matter who you are, whatever you do. Everyone has worries, everyone has pressures, anxiety and stresses. So to get the ball rolling, we've got a question to ask you guys.
What causes you to stress or to worry? If you're happy to, we'd love to hear from you. So please do put your comments or your answers in the chat to your right.
And it's great to have such a range of answers. It's great to have you guys dropping your comments in the chat box. And there are no wrong responses. There are no wrong answers. It's just your own opinion. It's your own thoughts there.
Absolutely. So, Adam, what causes you stress?
So for me, it's about life balance. It's about my biggest cause of stress is I always feel like the pressure of like you've got work going on, you've got home life going on, you've got to feed the dog, you've got to take it out for a walk, you've got to remember to do the washing, you've got to do the cooking. I mean, people call it living, I call it stressful. And all of that time, you're also trying to fit in, social time. You're trying to make sure you're meeting up with friends, you're needing to spend some time with your wife and things like that. So for me, and if I don't manage to get all that right, it frustrates me. It causes me frustration that actually I haven't found a really good balance there. How about yourself?
Yeah, like that balance of life is really difficult, and trying to work out how much time to spend with particular friends, especially when you've got friends who are hurting and actually need your time and need some extra love. But I think probably one of the things that I find particularly stressful at the moment is just knowing really how much time to spend on things, because I find that actually tasks at the moment are just taking me longer, like far longer than they normally would. And so that again just adds on another pressure, another stress, another load of anxiety, because you just run out of time for things, and that's no good.
That's no good. Absolutely. So while you guys think about your answers and pop them in the chat box to your right hand side, then I've been out and about asking some other people the question as well. So why don't we see what they've been saying? What causes you stress or worry?
Oh, I can answer that. Lots of things.
Exam seasons.
If you're having issues at work, or parenting can be quite stressful.
All manner of things, from obviously mostly to do with family life and trying to be everything to everybody.
If I don't believe I've done my very best in everything that I do, then that causes me major stress.
And finances can cause stress, obviously. If they're a problem in your family, that's a huge thing.
I worry that people might not have good health, like I want people to have good health.
There's always the unknowing of being thrown curveballs in amongst the chaos of day-to-day life, and that can then be stressful, and it's sometimes hard to maintain your balance in amongst all that chaos.
So we've had some really good responses in the chat here. It looks like it's been really busy, so I do thank you for that. What have we got there then, Tabby?
Absolutely. So we've got one comment saying things being out of my control. I think that's definitely something that we probably all, especially last year when there were so many things completely out of our control, or control being put on us by other people, but for good reasons, for completely legitimate reasons. Another person said, when my to-do list is longer than my day. Yes,
I've
absolutely.
got one of them.
Yes.
I've got one of them.
Absolutely. I'm trying to plan a wedding at the moment. That is definitely, absolutely. And then another person said, when I get too busy. And absolutely, that's just, we all have those moments, don't we? Just simply when we just get too busy. Thank you,
and
Adam.
all of those stack up and add on to our own average days. We all get too busy, but when it's on top of other stresses and pressures in life, and someone's ill, or you're having to spend some time with a friend, or your kid or your dog had a really rough morning, or things like that, then suddenly it all stacks up very quickly.
Absolutely, yes. And so while we continue this evening to think about this particular topic of stress, worry and anxiety, we would love for you to keep commenting and keep getting in touch with us.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Keep your comments rolling in. Keep asking questions. We're about to introduce our lovely guest here, and and would love to answer some of those questions. Throw some comments out at us. Share some of your own stories. Anthea. We have a lovely Anthea Ratton here in the studio with us this evening. Hello, Anthea. A lot of our viewers won't know who you are. We certainly know who you are, but we'd love for you to share a bit about yourself. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Thanks, Adam. Thank you for inviting me, and hello to everybody out there online. It's very good to be at this side of the camera rather than the other side watching. So yes, I'm Anthea Ratton. I am the leader of River Church in Marlow. I also work privately as a psychotherapist. I've worked prior to leading church, which I haven't done for very long. I have been working in mental health services for more years than I care to remember, in various different aspects of mental health, working with all sorts of people with all sorts of problems. I very much would not call myself an expert, but I would say I'm somebody who's walked alongside a lot of people and seen a lot of things.
Thank you so much, Anthea, for joining. Absolutely. And so, to kick us off then with our first question, last year was really hard for a lot of people, and probably not many of us came out unscathed from something. Our first question to you is really, how do you think that the pandemic has affected us?
Yeah, good question. Just as we were saying that, as Tabby's asking that question, we can hear an ambulance cry in the background, and that's been a familiar sound this year, hasn't it? Especially in the quietness of lockdown, but we've heard those sirens a lot more than we normally would. Lockdown has had a huge impact on mental health for many people, and across the board, and it's not just anecdotal, it's documented. I read recently, just yesterday, that the World Health Organization have been petitioning our government to spend more money on mental health services, to take it more seriously than they already do. So services are stretched, and people have suffered in many ways during lockdown. Existing problems have become exacerbated. People have developed problems they didn't know they had. Stresses of losing jobs, not having work, having too much work, not knowing what to do with your time. As people have mentioned, feeling out of control is a huge stressor. I think you're right, Tabby. Nobody's gone unscathed.
So we're looking there, and it's all about busyness. It's about everyone receiving more pressure, more frustration, schooling from home, working from home, worry about losing your job, still have your job but got work up to here, and people obviously then haven't found time for rest in that space. As Christians, we talk about rest in a different way as well. We talk about rest as Sabbath. Sabbath was a day offered by God, used by God, which was a day of rest. It was a day when we recentered ourselves. It was a day to spend time with God, as well as spending time refocusing ourselves. So why is taking rest important? And also, how can that maybe help our mental well-being and things like that?
Absolutely, yeah. I think taking rest is very important because it gives us time to slow down, to stop, to be less busy, to be less hurried, to get off the busy bus of life, if you like. And I think a lot of us, if we think about lockdown, the things we've appreciated in lockdown, many people I've heard say, I've appreciated a slower pace of life. I've appreciated there's not been so much pressure on me to do and go out. Although I also appreciate that there are many people who haven't liked that and have found it very lonely and difficult. So how do we find rest?
Yeah, how do you find rest, and why is that rest? Well, we talk a bit about why rest is important. So how can we use that rest to support our mental well-being, to support our stress and pressure?
Yeah, I think it is about being intentional about that and making space for yourself, however much you can do. Sabbath is a whole day. I think that's great, and I do try to practice that myself. But I'm really aware that not everybody can do that. That some people work 5 days. They've got a busy life, children, family, elderly parents to care for, whatever. And so me saying take a day is like, oh, no, that's never going to happen, But maybe you could take 5 minutes, maybe you could take half an hour, maybe you could take some space in a day or a week. I've often suggested to people if you're very busy in a busy work situation, you've always got time to go to the toilet and just sit there for a few minutes, even if you don't need to. You take some time out somehow, and start small, but value that time that's yours.
So talking about valuing that time, so if someone can put aside a dedicated 5 minutes, so they're going to say, okay, I'm going to put aside 5 minutes or half an hour, don't have time for a day. What should people do with that time? Or what can people do with that time?
Another good question. And sometimes it can be really difficult. I think we should caveat this. All that we're talking about this evening is that we're talking about stress and anxiety in a sort of generalised way. And most of us experience this, or most of us experience ups and downs in life. If you're out there and you're thinking, well, mine's a lot worse than that, don't start telling me taking 5 minutes is going to help. I absolutely agree with you, it won't. And you maybe are already receiving some help from somewhere, or maybe we'd really encourage you to take a step and ask for some support. If your stress, anxiety, worry is just too long, too strong, in the wrong situation, then there is lots of support out there. So I'll just caveat that before I say there are things we can do. We can learn to just slow ourselves down, notice our breathing. We're going to take you through a little thing a bit later that does that. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Brilliant. And so obviously we touched on the pandemic of last year, and actually we're still living in a lot of that. And so we're probably going to rub up against friends, family, co-workers who are maybe just as stressed, possibly more stressed than we are. How can we practically help them? How can we love them and actually come alongside those people who we kind of encounter who actually could just do with a bit of extra love, maybe?
Yeah, and we all know people like that, don't we? It's a really good question, and I think, Tabby, you've hit on the key point, which is about coming alongside. And I think coming alongside somebody, we're not here to fix people. Christianity isn't a fix for people. It just isn't. It's a way of life, but it's not a fix, and it doesn't necessarily mean life will be easier. But coming alongside people, listening to them, understanding them, showing them that you care. Sometimes that's the deepest thing. Sometimes being listened to properly is the first step towards healing. It can be so releasing. And giving people your precious time can be really helpful. And of course, there are other things that you might be able to do for people. We were talking earlier about just how if there's a busy, stressed family, if you can offer some babysitting, or you can offer just a couple or a parent just to go out for the evening or the afternoon, and you look after the family back home for them, that can make a massive difference. Or the dog. or anything else that is stressing somebody. If you can take it from them for a while, and that's possible, that could be really releasing for them. Or little things, acts of kindness. We talk about this all the time, don't we? But just taking a meal round for somebody, or dropping a card in, or just remembering somebody and ringing them up and saying, how are you? We're not always really very good at doing that. So things like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was chatting with one of my friends who's a parent, and they were sharing with me the fact that they would struggle to set time aside for themselves. Being a parent, they're a parent of a few children and husband and busy household. Actually, it's really difficult as a parent, even if you aren't doing a job as well. You're full-time mum, which is a big enough job as it is. Actually, you're not able to find that time for yourself, which is really important. What we're discussing about, and so yeah, if we have friends out there who we can support, then it's a great place to start. So Anthea, popping on your church leader hat now. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Bible. What does the Bible say about stress and anxiety and pressure? Obviously, this isn't a 20th century issue. This has been going on for decades and you know, since the dawn of man, I'd imagine. But what does the Bible say?
Okay. Again, I've got my leader hat on. So I think when we say, what does the Bible say, we're meaning what does God say?
Yeah.
And if we want to know what God says about things, the first place is to look is to Jesus. Jesus was God, and Jesus came to show us God and show us who God was, who God is, and how God is. And if you look at the life of Jesus, you don't find anything directly about stress or anxiety. You find stories, you find parables, you find amazing encounters with ordinary everyday people. And Jesus was just awesome in the way he approached people, without prejudice, without misconceptions, without assumption. He just came to people and he saw them for who they were, not for who the crowds and the people around saw them, but for who they were, and he could see right into who they were. And often that in itself changed people as they encountered this amazing man. And he told stories, and he you can read about this in the different Gospels. He told and talked to us about how to live a life, how to live a different life. I've got a little thing to read here.
That'd be great.
I have to put my glasses on. A bit older than this lot. Here we go. This is one of the things Jesus said. I mean, he said many things which are very helpful for us. But he said this, and this is from Matthew's Gospel. And it says, "Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly."
That's fantastic. To walk to freely and lightly. What was the end of that again?
To
walk freely and lightly. I think we all would love to walk freely and lightly, with that pressure of, it's almost like after a long day and you've taken your shoes off, or a long day and you've taken that heavy bag off. You know, you got that feeling of lightness. I think we'd all want to walk like that and live like that all the time, and that to be our normal. So let's spend a moment, as you're saying, reflecting. Spend a moment in silence. We've discussed a lot this evening. Maybe this is new for some people, the idea, these different ideas and concepts. Maybe it's something that you guys have practiced before, but yeah, let's just take a moment. Let's think about what has been shared this evening, and Anthea is going to lead us in a bit of a reflection to help us practice that peace and silence.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to take a moment now. I'd like you just to relax. You might want to just notice what's going on in your body. Is there tension? Are you sat like this? You might want to just loosen, drop your shoulders and cross your legs. Hey, you guys at home, you can lie down if you like, or at least relax in the chair. Just notice your breathing now. Is it quite shallow and fast? Try and let your breath be deeper, coming from your belly, not high up in your chest. And just notice how you're breathing. Notice what's going on. And we believe in God. We believe in God wants to come and do things for us. And I'm going to invite God into this space now. Yeah, come now and bring us some of that peace that we've been reading about, those unforced rhythms of grace that you talk about. And as you're taking a moment, just it can feel very difficult. It can feel like your head is full and your thoughts are whizzing. And just, if you can just let the thoughts come and go, but not hold on to them. If you find you've held on to a thought and you're not listening to me, try and let go of that thought and bring yourself back to this moment of pause that's for you. And I read this reflection recently, which I found really helpful. Vincent van Gogh wrote, "It is true that there is an ebb and flow, but the sea remains the sea." You, God, are like the sea. Although I experience many ups and downs in my emotions and often feel great shifts and changes in my inner life, you, God, remain the same. But your sameness is not the sameness of a rock, but the sameness of a faithful lover. And out of your love, I come to life. By your love, I am sustained. And to your love, I am always called back. And there are days of sadness and days of joy. There are feelings of guilt and feelings of gratitude, and there are moments of failure and moments of success, but all of them are embraced by your unwavering love. O Lord, sea of love and goodness, let me not fear too much about the storms and winds of my daily life, and let me know there is ebb and flow, but the sea remains the sea. Amen.
Anthea, thank you so much for that.
My pleasure.
It's just so important, isn't it? Just take time and just to centre ourselves again. And if you would like to talk to someone, if what Anthea has shared has sort of stirred something up in you, or you think actually I'm, as Anthea said at the beginning, we're talking sort of about stress and anxiety on sort of a normal, almost like a normal life. But actually, if you think this is so much worse than that, please do reach out. Please do seek help, because that's what we want. But if you'd like to get in contact with us or talk to one of our members of our team, please do email us at prayer@riverchurch.org.uk, or reach out in the comment section below, and hopefully Steve or someone else will pick that up and will answer you.
And we'll get Steve to pop that email address again in the chat for us, so that so you guys have access to that. Another way you can reach us confidentially as well would be, if email's not your thing, would be finding us on Facebook, finding River Church. There's a few pages there. There's River Church Thames Valley, which is our main page. You can find us there and contact us, or if you're local to Marlow or Maidenhead, feel free to join and follow one of their Facebook pages and get in contact there. And there's some great teams there to support you and to answer any questions you have. And just pray with you if you'd like that. It's been really exciting. The chat's been really great this evening. I've noticed Laura's been sharing about finding space in nature, which is another way that we spoke about a bit earlier on. Finding that peace in nature, in creation, going out for a walk, and using that. Maybe even take that reflection. Why don't you this week pull up this video on your phone when you're out for a walk by yourself, fast forward to that bit that Anthea just led, and use that time in nature by yourself to use that as a reflection, to recenter yourself, to gather your thoughts, and that'd be fantastic. So, if there's anything else you'd like us to talk about in the future, we would love for you to let us know that. This space is your space. Give us some ideas what you'd like us to talk about in the future, and I'll try my best to pop some people beside me who know what they're talking about and are able to share with you on those topics.
Absolutely. And do give this video a thumbs up and to show you've liked our content. Also, you can subscribe to this channel and you'll get a notification about when we next go live.
And we're going to be back again in 2 weeks' time, and we'll be looking at the topic of Jesus. It's going to be a bit of a 101 about who is Jesus. Is he a real guy? Was he a real man? Is he a character from the Bible or the book? How old was he? Where did he live? Did he have family? We'll try and cover a whole range of questions and try and separate the fact from the fiction.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us this week. Again, Anthea, thank you so much. And we really do encourage you to maybe try that exercise again sometime this week. But thank you, and we hope that you have a wonderful week.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
See ya. Bye.